Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
We're online.
All systems go!
And in your face.
Sorry? Are you on the air today? Yeah.
You are listening to the golden microphones of the IMC Radio. News, opinions, and your calls.
We are back. Welcome to Sun and Fun 2016. This is Howie Marlin, your host with the EAA IMC Club radio program today. I am joined by my counterpart in deductive reasoning, Radek Yatkov. Yeah, Radek.
Come on, Howie, you should know it by now, Radek
Wyzykowski.
And this time not from upstate New York, where, by the way, yesterday we had 8 inches of snow and temperature well below freezing. I'm here in sunny Florida.
Well, that's great. And you're here this year with a new and very exciting program. And we're going to get to the Avidine boys in just a minute. Have a seat, you guys. You're going to pull up pretty close to his shoulder because we have the faces for radio as well. And here are your microphones. But Radek just came by, and you're going to listen to What's Up With Us.
Now you have to listen to
Radek came up with this really phenomenal idea of a group of people getting together talking about their instrument issues. Created a program where there would be scenario-based training, where people would be together with different experienced aircraft and avionics, and then a challenge would be presented to them with, at the end, options for discussion. And what happened is, how did it start and where did it grow to now? Give us the elevator speech, Rad.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of listeners will know by now because I keep saying it over and over again. But yeah, we started in 2010. That was 4 guys in Norwood, Massachusetts. And very quickly we grew to over 120 chapters and almost 3,000 members. So last year, November 2nd, we merged with Experimental Aircraft Association.
Alpha.
Yep, and we're now part of the EAA chapter structure, and it's doing very well. You know, it's enthusiasm is there and a lot of excitement. And
yeah, I actually see you there at the EAA tent. I mean, you're really part of it, for real.
Yes, we are really part of it.
So it just shows, how much this idea has grown. We're joined today with Jaron Buston and Mitch Briggs, who walked in with me this morning. It was just a happen chance that we got together. But what was awesome is that the nature of this radio program is to introduce people to the technology and the systems that we're now being, these things change every week pretty much. And it's wonderful to be able to get your view on where things are at. And why don't you give me the elevator speech about where Avidine is at this year?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody. My name's Mitch Biggs. I have an interesting background, having flown jets to the Air Force and then got into retail, got into healthcare, and now back into aviation. So
you went from the Air Force and then you sold jeans for a few weeks, is that right? And scoot your chair in so you feel a little more comfortable. Take your time.
Yeah,
you don't have to lean in. It's fine.
I flew the Eagle, so I tell everybody it's the most fun I could have with my pants on.
Which is awesome.
So anyway, we got back. I got back into the aviation path, and I will tell you, back to your original question about what's new with Avidine and the elevator speech. We're really working on our brand story. We've really got a compelling product out there. We want to introduce ourselves, as a viable competitor out there for everybody that's looking for a solution. It's typically a navigator solution, comm solution. We even have autopilot, which is really, really cool and does some amazing things. But for this show, what we've really been able to do is bring synthetic vision to an IFD. So now it's really an affordable solution that was really out of the price range, a lot of GA pilots. Now you can get that on our 550, which is really a backup attitude indicator. Not certified, but certainly gives you all the quality with an AHRS card inside of that box. And then all of our other product certainly has a kind of a bird's eye view of what your flight paths, all the terrain avoidance, and those types of things. And all of that is being supported with our new software release 10.2, which is another announcement that should be out. I feel really confident it'll be out before Oshkosh. So you heard it here first that we're pushing that team to make that work.
Oh, that's awesome. By the way, the Antique engine gets run up just when we start the show every day, and you can't hear it. We will hear it, but it's fine. It's not going to impact on us at all. Well, that's wonderful. Avidyne is one of the cornerstone industries, one of the cornerstone engineering monikers of aviation. You guys, it seems when you think of high-end quality performance, you think of Avidyne. Jared, what do you do for the company? Besides sitting around looking good.
Well, I always look
I look
good.
marvelous, Dom. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You can lean in.
So,
all
right, I'll lean in on this side.
We don't need that anymore.
Okay, good. So I am the director of dealer sales at Avidyne, so I deal with their dealer channel and selling through our dealer network on that. But in that, we talk to more end customers. We do a lot of work with end customers, giving them guidance, especially on ADS-B. Right, guys will come by our booth. They'll talk about ADS-B. We'll ask them what they have in their airplane. If you come by, we have our ADS-B Genius counter down there, and we'll tell you what we think you should put in there. Sometimes it's not our product, right? We make great products for certified aircraft. There are some great solutions if you use our glass. But if you're not using our glass, there are cheaper solutions out there that we can recommend for you based on what you want to use it for. But that just comes down to what you want in your airplane and how much you want to spend. And
mission oriented.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really something because as I talk to folks, the problem that I run into is people truly understanding what their mission is. We seem to get carried away, and people want to get bigger, better, faster, slicker, and they're still only doing their hour-long trip. I'm personally confronted with an issue after wanting to buy the airplane that I've been flying for the last 3 years. Finally bought it, tricked out Cherokee, constant speed prop, all steam. But the point is, now with all the light sport coming out, and my mission, I go to Nashua, New Hampshire, I go down to New Jersey, everywhere I go, an hour. I don't seem to go anywhere more than an hour and 15 minutes. And it's like, what do I got all this for? I'm burning 11 and 12. I can be burning 3. MoGas. Really, it's just, you kind of start to wonder. And so, I dug in real hard and I got what I got. Now, of course, I'm looking at upgrade. Personally, I've got some unique challenges. Just was given an option to buy a hangar at a great price. And it's like, you don't turn down an offer the way that it was presented to me. Oh, right. So now what else comes? I do want to get rid of the steam gauges, but for me, I have to manage it. But here again, I'm not flying. My mission is simple, pretty much sport, and that's where that's at. What's your take on it, Brad?
I always had mixed feelings when it comes to glass, to be honest with you. The first glass panel I flew was Avidyne in 2003.
Oh, there's a pitch.
And to be honest with you, Avidyne, and I'm not just saying it because you are here.
Yes, you are.
It was kind of, no, just kidding. I always liked Avidyne, and I think it was more intuitive than any other platform out there. So when it comes to the design, do you just naturally design it more intuitive, or you put some research to it?
So I will tell you that our senior vice president of product design happens to be a former classmate of mine at the academy, and we kind of grew up on glass cockpits in the military, and there's a lot of things going on in a single seat fighter cockpit, so it has to be easy, it has to be intuitive. And that thought process, from our flight management system through knowing what the next frequency is, for it understanding, what I love about the Avidyne product, it is so predictive. By the time I'm thinking about touching the button, it's already doing it for me. And so that thought process, knowing what is going in, you're very task saturated in a single seat fighter when you're managing your weapon system, managing other airplanes that are in your vicinity, trying to manage the target assessment. Flying the airplane has to be easy, and a lot of that background that Jake had as a test pilot in the Air Force has really manifested itself, and I'm really happy to see it make it into the GA world, because there's a lot of similarities of task saturation in the GA community. Not so much that your firing weapons are going into threat areas, but
even
there's
though
a
we would like to sometimes.
Exactly. But there's a proficiency and an understanding, and there's an economic constraint that we didn't have to deal with necessarily in the military. And to make it easy in that cockpit, to make it so that the decisions are simple and intuitive, really is the backbone of the design, and that's why I really think we're featuring that. And you'll see a lot more of that coming out in our content as we get that brand story out, now that we have some compelling products.
So when I fly over South Boston, I'll be prepared.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, but do you think, on the other hand, that, and that applies to every glass panel manufacturer out there, that we can get to the point that it gets too complicated for general aviation, that we have too much information that we don't really need?
Oh, wait a minute. Let's
Because to be
start with...
honest with you, okay, let me
Yeah.
finish
Go ahead.
my thought here. A lot of times I was, now when I'm heading proficiency division at the AA, I don't really have much time to fly, but I was teaching a lot. And every time I would switch from glass panel to steam gauges, and we would fly in actual conditions. And we were getting ready for approach, and I'm thinking, okay, I tune in the frequency, twist it, listen to it, and I'm ready for it. And there's really nothing else to be done. On the other hand, on the glass panel, you have to load it, you have to activate, you have to make sure it's actually feeding to right frequency, to right instrument, right needle, and so on. So to summarize again my question, do you think it may get too complicated? And is there any point that you foresee that we'll get to glass panel that's it, and there is nothing more that we can do with it?
I would sort of take it about 3 steps back from when we design our products. One of the big things we've done is looked at studies of glass and looked at a lot of the information that was available at where do pilots make the most mistakes, and then taking that information and building it into our products. So if you look at studies on it, one of the biggest things that you'll find is the complexity of the aircraft, right? You're thinking you're getting all this new glass, the accident rate should be going down, right? Because you have more situational awareness, you'll get that bigger information, which would be great. But the problem is that someone has to know how to use that technology, so regardless of what that is. The nice thing about the steam gauges, especially if you learned on it, is you've already learned that, but we still need to have someone out there that's training on this glass technology and getting it. That's one of the huge requests I get every time I sell a product to someone is, how do I train myself on this? How do I learn about this system, and how do I get, learn how it works? And it's not just how the box works, like entering a flight plan, that's easy. How does it interface with the autopilot to make sure you're pressing the right button, so when you think you're going to fly the approach, you fly the approach? And a lot of that stuff is, when we looked at that, we tried to design the equipment. So our equipment's designed to make those things easier. The tasks that everyone messes up, how do we make those tasks easier for them? And we spend a lot of time doing that and testing the way that we do it. So,
Well, I'm happy to be a test pilot for you, because I'll tell you, taking my wife up to Nashua last week, we had a little bit of turbulence. I've got my, let's just say it's an iPad out there, and I'm trying to make minor adjustments. And this hand is tapping Yugoslavia. I'm going everywhere. All of a sudden I'm doing 9,000 knots. It's like, wait a minute. So you have keypad based, right? So you can steady your hand, and then you can purpose push, which is...
right. Well, and we have hybrid touch, so you can use both.
Talk to me about that.
So what that does is it's a touch screen with multi-touch, so you can use the touch screen if you want. Great if you're, before you take off, you're on the taxiway. Great for that. You're in smooth air. It's great. But if you start bouncing around, you can actually use everything you can do with the touchscreen. You can also do with knobs and buttons. So that way you can enter it in. So if you're bouncing around, you can still enter it in. And if you come by the booth, I'm pretty fast at putting in a flight plan just using the knobs without having the keyboard pop up. I mean, keyboard is a little bit faster, but because we have cool features like GeoFill, which predicts what the waypoint's going to be, Victor Airway Planning, stuff that takes the hard parts out of it and makes it really simple. Because in the Northeast, when you take off, especially out of Hanscom, you take off, you have a flight plan. You take off, you get to about 2,000 feet, you get a new flight plan. You get to 8,000 feet, you get a new flight plan. And our system's designed to be easy in those types of situations when you're flying on it.
That'd be a tremendous help, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you, give me something to hold on to and to turn.
Yeah.
Because you got it, and you're good, and you can, how many clicks. You get to feel how many clicks in advance. Well, that's awesome. You guys have been forward thinkers since day one. There's no two ways about it.
So speaking of forward thinking, we also announced probably about a month ago a partnership with Globalstar. So what that
Who's
does,
Globalstar?
Globalstar is a network of satellites that will drive internet into our cockpits.
Really?
So now think about the iPad, and now think about Wi-Fi. Now think about how useful that keyboard will be if you're trying to do a search on restaurants when I land, or if you're trying to shoot a text to somebody about who's got the rental car. Bringing Wi-Fi and internet into the cockpit is another innovative step that Avidyne is leading in GA, and really happy to be able to deliver those products soon as well.
And as a flight instructor, I have to say we better express here that those searches are going to be conducted by your passengers, not
Absolutely.
And I really look forward to watching Netflix as I'm passing through Bravo. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we won't get that much. That creates a lot of bandwidth, but certainly the simple task of internet will be very affordable and make it simpler and a better flying experience inside the cockpit.
Simpler, better flying, safer. I'm going to tell you, at a little over 60, I've had it. I mean, really? Do I have to keep learning this stuff? Actually, yeah, I do. So I stay sharp. Trust me, I have another life, and I'm constantly learning for that as well. But I'm looking for simpler. I'm up for learning, but I don't want more complicated. Make my life simpler. You started how long ago with Avidyne, Brad?
2003, so that was, 13 years ago.
Okay, you've seen quite a change. Have they gotten better or worse?
Let me put it this way. I love gadgets. So for me, my wife always is laughing at me that for me, the more buttons, the better. But at the same time, I flew with all kinds of students, older people, who are not good with computers, and they would like to see it simpler. So actually, I have a question for you. I'm kind of curious. Why? Because, when we fly glass panel, it's not only learning what to push and what you get out of it, but it's also you have to retrain your visual scan. Because 6-pack, you scan differently. I mean, you start off your attitude and then you branch over to your supporting instruments. And then, when you do it for years and then suddenly you go to the big picture, it's different. Why nobody came up with simply 6-pack that is displayed on a glass panel?
Well, if you look at actually the studies and the design around it, right, the nice thing about the glass panel is it's going to shorten your scan because the scan is much tighter. If you think of an Aspen on it, right, that's a smaller display. But now your scan goes from, your 8-inch square into a 2.5-inch square, right? So it goes into that smaller. You're picking up just as much information, if not more information in that, because then you can normally add another piece to it, and that's all in that one piece. The other nice thing is you pick up the horizon, especially when you're flying in the clouds. You can see that horizon a lot easier, which levels the aircraft and gives you that feeling of comfort as you're flying it because you do have that information on it. So those are two big things. The other thing is they're more precise. When you're flying with numbers and you're flying with a PFD, instead of flying about 7 o'clock, you can say, I'm flying 76 knots. I need to be crossing this at, when I'm landing, it's a specific speed and you know what that speed is, right? And that makes you more of a precise pilot. Now, for a little while, it's hard because you're trying to chase the exact numbers and that's what you're doing. But that's part of the learning curve, too, of switching over to glass and learning it on that side. But it's all good stuff, right? It's all pilot training and doing that stuff. But I do think the glass actually does help out on the scan. And then you can add more information to help situational awareness, right? You have a moving map. You see where traffic is. You can see weather mixed in. So there's a lot of those pieces all tied in together with it as well.
Well, it's interesting. You're talking about a number of different things. And first of all, the sooner we get rid of spinning gadgets, which are prone by design to bust, the better. But one of the things that I found, and this is absolutely from I only have shy 500. I'm not that. Looking at a small glass spring, it becomes a point of exception analysis. You know what to expect. So you're going around, you see the numbers, you got that in your vision. It's that one dot, you look at the screen, you got your airspeed, you got your altitude, you got your rate of climb, you got all that. It's exception analysis as you're tooling along. When things start going wonky, that's when it gets your attention. So your scan now, instead of going dot, 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 you're going bank and over to something else, and then bank, back to that. And then every time you hit it, you expect, you know what to see, you know the numbers, you know where they should be. All of a sudden, now, here's the interesting question to you. I always wondered, if I could set a rate of climb which is within the parameters that I want, can I get some bell or whistle to give me an attitude or a rate which is outside my envelope?
Yeah, I mean, we can do anything that we need to do in terms of alerting pilots. And I'll tell you, I want to piggyback on this conversation as you mentioned that question as well. The next evolution, and it gets to what the earlier concern is about glass. What I see right now with general aviation pilots is too much heads down time. So what I'm going to see and what's going to happen, think about the critical things you need to know outside the cockpit. And I really believe although we're not an optics company, that there will be a solution in GA, very affordable, to have compelling heads-up display. So now you're looking outside the window, and you have all your nav, you have your engine instruments, you have your airspeed, all the stuff you need for a scan focused at infinity, like we were accustomed to in a very tough environment in a very high task saturation. So that is the next evolution, I believe, very affordable. The technology's out there. It's a matter of getting it to a form fit. Now, will it be certified anytime soon? No, but it's great music to the experimental guys. And I think that will be the next step to get the head from looking at the knees and the iPad that's in the lap to outside the cockpit where it ought to be.
Hallelujah. Sooner the better. I started with the iPad on my knee. Screw that. It went on the other yoke, which is good enough. It's still in my horizontal. A quick right, I'm there. So it's the same line from my six-pack over for me. I've got something else on the yoke here, but it's all within that range. Going down, always, I never understood that. Doing this, I mean, just that, because this is an exception. You get dots in the distance, you're following, competing aircraft, and when you take your field of vision away, then the mind doesn't work that way. It's not going to go and find it immediately. So wonderful. I look forward to that. Any other parting shots? Guys going golfing today, or what are you doing?
No, it's a thrill to be back to Sun and Fun. I haven't been here in a while I was out in different industries, but I do see... I see some wind in the sails in GA. I think it's going to be dependent on the economy. Certainly, as that goes, I think the GA business will continue to thrive. But I see a lot of innovation, and I see a lot of things coming down to make things more affordable and safer. And we're really happy to be a part of it, Navidyne.
Wonderful. Well, I truly appreciate you guys coming by. Jared, do you have any parting shots?
No, I would just invite anyone that's listening to come by the Avidyne booth, check out some of our synthetic vision views. We have ADS-B solutions. We have MFDs that you can see in the cockpit. We have iPad solutions, a bunch of different stuff to come and check out.
Hangar C, right?
Yeah, Hangar C. Come by, check it out, demo it, play with our equipment, see how easy it is to use, compare it. It's great.
Well, we're live right now all across the world, so those of you in France and Germany, come on down.
That's right.
Jared, it was a real pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Mitch,
Thank
great
you.
running into you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. You can just put
stay
the
in
mics
touch.
down and take your stuff and go. I've got two other people coming. Again, I'll stop by and say hi. Really? Best of luck, guys. So, Brad, come on in. And I also have, we have Caroline Garrett. Caroline, come on down. Brad, I want to meet you to Caroline. Caroline, Brad, he goes by Launchpad. So we are live. So we no headsets because that doesn't work. So pick up the microphone, and about an inch or so from you is fine.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm
Very
Howie.
nice to meet you, Howie.
This is Radek Vizikoski.
Radek. Nice to
We
meet
call
you.
him Rad. Brad, Launchpad baby. Do you know Radek?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Hi.
you guys are now
Launchpad
fast
Mazzari,
friends.
Rush Chairman. Really hope you pledge GAA.
Rush Chairman.
Let me tell you, I'm truly very grateful for what you've done. We'll be talking about your work with Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide
Women of Aviation Worldwide Week. Yes.
and what happened last month. And I asked Launchpad to come here. Very interesting gentleman, works in Germany, goes to all the major shows. You have a little piece of lunch right there, which is gone. And the delight hanging out with somebody who just takes everything seriously.
Oh, no.
That's me.
No.
Mr. Serious.
Not at all. This guy is a riot. And every time we get together, we end up going and doing something really wicked awesome. A couple of years ago, we were at Oshkosh, and Disney introduced planes. And we were sitting on a garbage dump.
And we ended up joyriding with Kenneth Weeks in his golf cart for a joyride afterwards.
Kermit Weeks?
Kermit Weeks, excuse me.
I mean, really, we went everywhere with him for the
You
longest
lucky
time.
guys.
Well, Kermit was awesome. I had actually
is
interviewed
an
him,
awesome
did
guy.
some video at his place down the road from here, Fantasy of Flight, which is being reinvented, by the way. And so I got to know him well enough so that as he drove by, I could kick his tires and say, "Yo, give an old soldier a lift." Anyway, that was great. So he took us all over. That was great. And then we went to the Tail Wheels, etc. party last night.
Really good. And you won an introductory flight.
I did an introductory flight for 2, so you and I should go and get behind a 172, baby. I think
I want to be introductory into a Stearman.
I'm going to go. I want to give that away, and I'm going to go back and see if John will give me some time in the Stearman. But Caroline, let's talk about you. Enough about me. Let's talk about you.
No, let's talk about Women of Aviation Worldwide Week.
Okay, go ahead.
If we're going to grow the pilot population, we need to get the other sex, women, into aviation seats, pilot seats, into all of aviation, air traffic controllers, mechanics, pilots. Women have been 6% of the pilot population forever. 6%. They need to be 50%. Actually, I like to say they need to be 60%. But the problem is, and what I learned, I only learned this a couple of years ago because I have 4 brothers, so I always did guys' things. So I didn't have any issue. I didn't realize that girls don't normally do things unless other girls do them in groups. And so when I was asked to be a keynote speaker at Women of Aviation Worldwide Week in Canada, I learned what the thrust was, which is girls learn differently. They need to do things in groups. So 1 week a year, we introduce girls, just girls, no boys around, to aviation. In Ocala, when we, and everybody around the world, different airports do it different ways, but in Ocala, we use the Young Eagles, the Ocala EAA chapter, and so we use the Young Eagles program, but we have it just for girls that one Saturday. We organize a tower tour, so the girls get to go to the tour ahead of time. A female pilot or air traffic controller explains what towers do. Another thing they go to is a ground school session with a woman instructor doing the ground school session at a basic level. And then the first year, we had a woman firefighting pilot, and this year we had a Black Hawk with an all-female crew. They were the hit of the parade. All-female crew Black Hawk.
And
the Army sent them.
It's important when you drag like that all-female Black Hawk crew in to give an example of like, this isn't token. Look, they're really doing this for a living.
At the end, we have a career session, and the previous year we had airline pilots and corporate pilots. This year they were busy, so they couldn't join us. Women, I mean. But at the career session, the career pilots talk about their careers. The non-career pilots, the hobby pilots, I call us, we talk about we can do other things, engineers, doctors, whatever we are, and still fly for fun. I've flown around the world 3 times as a hobby pilot, so you can go anywhere you want as a pilot for fun. So we have the corporate pilots and the Army pilots and the hobby pilots all talking about their careers. So the girls get a good overview. They get excited together. And I would say over a third of our group, we had 25, probably more than half, were talking about what they could do, either being a hobby pilot or a career pilot or air traffic controller or mechanic or something like that in their future. So they got excited about it in groups.
Which is phenomenally wonderful. I started flying about 8 years ago. I came to an event, Sun and Fun, and in 2011, I looked around and I saw nothing but gray-haired men. It was heartbreaking.
I was going to ask, were you a woman at the time? I'm trying to link the conversations together.
He's talking about the old pilot population.
We have to have a few more beers before we go down that road. And I started looking for ways that I could affect the population, think globally, act locally. So I got very involved with my local EAA chapter. I got very involved with a couple of nonprofits which were pushing hard to get kids introduced to aviation. And then, to make a very long story short, Dave Dunlop introduced me to Mariah Guillet. And the program that she had absolutely blew me away. It was reaching out to young ladies, getting them enthusiastic, and I was critically aware that there were no youngsters involved, and there were no young ladies of the few youngsters that were. And I kept preaching what we need is to get young ladies involved in aerospace. Where the girls go, the boys will follow. There's nothing wrong with that, but we don't need for it just to be an exclusive to one or another. And sure enough, what have we proved? There's a little slightly different way of introduction and motivation, right. But once they hook onto that, off they go.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the basic differences, and as youngsters, it's relatively easy to be able to tap into it. As you pointed out, psychologically, young ladies are more group-oriented, right. And they benefit from that exposure. What were the stats? I know them. What were the statistics for the week? What was the accomplishments? I'll back you up.
You go ahead and do the
Over
stats.
40,000 participants, 250 facilities in 4 continents.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
And 5,000 flew?
5,000 flew.
I think flew for the first time. Yeah.
5,000
Girls.
in 1 week.
Girls. Yeah.
We also had a program. When I say we, I'm on the board of the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide as a gender-neutral component, and the joy of the Pink Airplane Challenge is giving them a platform to discuss youngsters making airplanes. We also had some of the biggest technological organizations in the world competing. Northrop. Did you see the video on Northrop?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they had about 50 people in one of their command centers making big airplanes.
Great.
And they broke a record for 5,000 airplanes made.
I did see that paper airplane record, and the record was for they had them how many they could fold, start at a go time,
right,
and then it was launching them all pretty much simultaneously. Within 1 minute, they were able to throw all the airplanes into the air in the hangar.
So when was that organization started? When
2010, I think, was the first year.
Okay, and
yes.
is anybody tracking any statistics? I fly a lot for EAA IMC Club. I travel a lot, I should say, and I would have to say that I see a lot of women in the cockpit, a lot more than I've seen before. So is there statistical change or just coincidence, you think?
This has only been going on for 6 years, and we're getting girls right now, so they're not that many as a percentage going into the pilot population. Even over 6 years, if the first year would now becoming pilots, they would, they're not making a dent in the pilot population.
A residual effect that other people, other women see organizations talking about women flying, and they simply go a side route, if you will, into aviation, not necessarily through your programs. But the more we talk about this, people realize that anybody can do it, and it's not men's job, if you will, anymore.
No, anybody can do it, but the thrust for this is girls learn differently.
Okay.
I mean, Young Eagles is a fantastic program, but you see a Young Eagles event at most chapters, there are 20 boys, 6 to 8 old white guy pilots, and maybe 1 girl, maybe 2 girls will be there. And they get the message right away, it's not for them. Unless they have a really strong character, they are not going to go into aviation. And what this does is get groups of girls and give them the introduction to aviation, and then a bunch of them are more likely to say, yeah, this is for us. Especially if they come back 2 years in a row. Like Young Eagles that do multiple flights are more likely to become pilots. Girls that come back to this a couple of years in a row are more likely to get into aviation.
I'm going to tell you that the group dynamics of the developing female mind are different than the male mind.
Yes.
It's just fundamental. It's a matter of genetics. And it's what we see in the malls, in the stores, in the schools, in the hallways. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the way we are. What we've been able to do is recognize we're not changing anything. We're not asking people to do anything different. Be yourself. Get together. Enthusiastically get involved. That is the singular, simple component.
Okay, so
that's different than guys.
There are other women in aviation organizations. I mean, there are 99s. There is
women in aviation.
Women in aviation. They've been out there for years, and nothing has changed. What do you think they were not doing right? Not necessarily.
Before
not
you answer, hold on to that.
I'm talking about just
Radek,
observations.
I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. It's not a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of hitting high, hitting low, hitting left, hitting right. They are all good. And I'm going to tell you now, Howie's feelings are WIA International. Wonderful. I appreciate the goal. I appreciate the intent. And I am not going to discount anybody's efforts. We can talk about style. We can talk about things which are bothersome, but that's not my platform. I will stand behind anyone who is going to encourage youngsters to look to the STEM program. I'm going to stand behind them enthusiastically. Even though my politics may not align with theirs, I'm going to back them up. And we'll talk about the problems after, offline.
Right. And if I can add to what Howie's saying, 99s only takes women that are already pilots. So that's not helping get... And WIA is helping women find careers in aviation. This Women of Aviation, especially the Worldwide Week, starts at a younger age and groups them and introduces them. So it's got a different focus to get more girls and women into aviation. The other two are kind of after the fact. And that's why I think this group will make a difference.
Go ahead, Brad.
I want to dogpile on my own personal story. Is happy. She's gonna hug me when I'm done. Is 6 months ago, I'm in the commissary, the grocery store, and one of my friends and his daughter comes by, and he goes, "Oh, that's Brad. He's a pilot." And she went, "That's a girl thing." And I locked her heels right then and there, and said, "No, it's not." And I wrote it on a card for her and said, "You need to go watch this." It's a great video by, I believe, WestJet. And what happened in WestJet's case is female pilot for WestJet said, the usual, "Hey, we know you have a choice. Thank you for flying WestJet, blah, blah, blah." And somebody left a napkin, some Neanderthal left a napkin, they're like, "Oh, I'm never going to fly with a woman pilot again." WestJet now has it's a 4-minute video out there, and it's Women of Aviation. And it starts with, "Hi, I'm Martha so-and-so. I'm the Senior Vice President for Scheduling for WestJet." And it goes down, and they even had their competition in it. They're like, "Hi, I'm the Senior..." And it's all these women in aviation, and only in the video, 2 of them are pilots. And they go in, they go, "What do you do?" And I went, "I work for Boeing. I'm the vice or senior chairman for acquisition. I buy parts." "And what do you do?" And I was like, and they clicked this other girl, and it's like, "Oh, I work for Delta Airlines. I'm the uniform coordinator. I use my training in style and sewing, or style and fashion I didn't mean to say, she said style and fashion to acquire the uniforms." And their point being is that there were careers in aviation, and the whole video is just women who are doing things in aviation, including, as we were jokingly referred to them, ramp rats, who's down there, And WestJet even showed their competitions, Women in Aviation. It's a great video for 4 minutes, and it was great to say, "Look, you're going to go watch this, because whatever your fun thing is, fashion, your passion. Oh, I love shopping. Well, you ever considered shopping professionally? We call it acquisition. Oh, I want to be in the weather, that kind of stuff." It's a great video, and like I said, I was able to lock her and her sister in the heels for 30 seconds, and you're going to go watch this.
There is movement. There is progress. Things are changing. We have a whole new generation who they are inherently astute to technology. They were born. That's the language they speak. They get introduced to technology, and it's wicked easy because it's what they learned. They cut their teeth on it. And so we have this new generation which is not hesitant to adopt new technology. And now, because we're working hard universally in the United States to increase the STEM programs, this is something which is now also being embraced. So I really... I can't thank you enough for what you do. It's the first time we've met. Put her there, pal. I'm going to say that it's an uphill slog, but we're making progress.
Right. And I've got to say, I'm here. I've been giving presentations at the Central Florida Aviation Academy, and just walking around that area, you see more young girls. I mean, the girls and boys in this aviation academy. But in this whole area, I'm seeing for the first time more young girls in aviation in this area of Sun and Fun.
Absolutely right. It's one of the things which is noticeable. It's funny. We're next to the Silent Bird Men. It ain't your local YMCA. But you're seeing lots of kids all over this.
Yes.
Last night, actually, there's a group from Britain that brought 35 kids over. And
the cadets.
Know how difficult it is in Europe. And there were a half a dozen girls among them.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't anywhere near the kind of equality that you would hope. However, there was quite a few. Mm-hmm. It was noticeable. Mm-hmm. And that's wonderful. You're right. The amount of children that are in these tech high schools, the amount of girls that are into it. And I'm going to tell you this, my son, who's an engineer, really encouraging young ladies to get into it, because now, we have this intelligence, we have this asset, and it's time.
Well, we're not going to grow aviation without them.
I'd like to steer the conversation for a moment into because later I want to talk about comparing European air shows to American air shows, but for right
We'll
now,
segue from that.
yeah, this is the thing is you walk around an air show, and this is I think maybe you might want to change the vocabulary here or figure out how to do it when you talk to the girls. Walk around an air show. You see any booth babes? I'm a booth babe. That's my job. I sit out front and chill the air, a booth babe. Okay? You walk around an air show as opposed to if you've been to the Detroit Auto Show or the big one, the Geneva Auto Show in Geneva, where there are these fantastic models who are elegantly dressed in front of cars and are either the good ones have memorized the script, the bad ones are just standing there smiling. They don't know squat about the cars, and the worst of the epitome is going to the New York Boat Show, where truly there are booth babes, and it's like, look, am I at a boat show or am I at a Victoria's Secret, swimsuit edition? Because because on a boat they're all going to wear swimsuits. But now, walk around the air show, walk through the booth. If there's a woman in that booth, a girl, a female, I'll be a lady.
Right.
Sorry about the vocabulary. We'll have to change my vocabulary. But if there's a girl in that booth, the other 51 weeks of the year, she works for the company. She is the engineer. She's the salesman. She's the whatever. The other 51 weeks of the year, she works for Oregon Aero or Avidyne or that stuff. She's not there as a booth babe. The only exception to that, there's two exceptions, is when you go to Oshkosh, is pinup girl calendars.
Oh, okay.
What's their product? Booth babes.
Right.
They're honest and average. What is their product? Is they're selling, beautiful women dolled up in front of the airplanes. That's what they're promoting.
Right.
So you get the idea. Is that they're being honest. They're not. They're actually the other 52 weeks of the year. What do? They're a professional model standing in front of airplanes,
right.
And that's what they're selling. The only exception you ever find to that is in Europe. And I'm going to call them out. Czech Sport Aircraft. They were the guys that, for a while, were briefly teamed with Piper.
Right.
They bring booth babes to the European shows, and everybody else just goes, "Really?" It is so weird.
So it's not accepted over there either.
We're not going to change human nature overnight.
No, we're not.
And the different cultures, there's going to be lots of challenges.
Roger, but here's my thing, though.
And we have to bring it to a close because I have somebody following us.
Real quick, is what I want to do is when you bring the girls in to show them why should you be involved with aviation, point at a car show where there's booth babes, and then tell them, go walk around and find booth babes here. You're in a more equality neighborhood. Or a more progressive neighborhood.
Well, when we get above 6%, I'd say we're there. We're not there yet. I understand what you're saying, but we've been at 6% forever, and we're not at 7% yet.
One quick question, if I may. So what's the major objective of Women of Aviation? Is it to bring more women to aviation industry or women pilots?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, it's everything involved in aviation. Pilots.
So it's not specifically pilots then?
In our Ocala event, we give them a tour of the tower. We give them a ground school basic course. This time we had an avionics school there. We would like to have a mechanics school there as well, so they can see everything in aviation with career-type pilots there and hobby, people that fly just for fun, women that fly just for fun, so they can see the whole. All the areas of aviation that are potential. We don't just want to say pilots and that's it. We want to give them, we had the Army people there.
Fundamentally, the preaching has been for aerospace, all of it, because of so much opportunity. Now, the truth is we use the local airports, which are small airplanes, and we do introduce them to what is available. And at the larger airports, they go up into the towers and they see fleets of controllers in British Columbia, in Vancouver. Huge presentation. Down in Texas, in Denton, huge presentation. So we had a lot of small facilities, but some very large facilities. And every year, the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide has grown exponentially, in addition to the other efforts of the other organizations. Listen, the way I feel about it, it's much like AOPA and EAA. Different missions, different groups.
Right.
Same thing. Get us more healthier, more of us, and happier. So with that in mind, tell me about your escapades. We got about 2-3 minutes about your travels.
My escapades, you mean
Exclusively.
flying around the world?
Yeah. Something all of us have done often.
I'm the lucky one. I've been able to do it 3 times. The second time was a world record, so I flew around the world in 8.5 days and broke the old world record, which was set in a Bonanza by 2 guys. So another female pilot, Carol Foy from Texas, and I flew around in a Mooney in 8.5 days and beat the old world record. But the other 2 flights were fun flights. One was 7 months, one was 11 months, and went to different continents, different countries, Madagascar, Kenya, all around Europe, Indonesia, India, Cambodia, and stopped at airports and toured the countries and met pilots in different countries and just had a fantastic time. Took a lot of work planning it, but I was an engineer and did a lot of project planning, so I could plan everything by myself. The world record flight was for ALS. I mean, all of these were to raise money for charity. Lou Gehrig's disease research. ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease. So I've been able to raise through the books that I have and the flights and presentations. I've raised over $420,000 for research because all the money goes to research. I pay for all the flights and everything else. But I admit it, I'm the lucky one. I've had a fantastic time flying around the world.
What are the major differences, if we have a few seconds here, between air traffic control systems as you flew through different countries?
They all speak English. They all handle planes the same way. When you're talking on an IFR, if you're on an IFR flight plan, they give you the information in the same order in every country. I mean, thanks to, I think it's ICAO that covers all this, everything is done the same way. So you have a bit of an accent.
Anything,
nothing that would cause a problem for a pilot that flies in the IFR system here. I mean, we don't have weather in other countries and in-cockpit weather. We don't have geosynchronized plates in other countries, which we have here. So you go into other countries, you kind of fly the old-fashioned way, you know. But it's the air traffic control handles you the same way. The airports, when you go into an airport and land, you have to go pay a bill in Europe and every other country. You go pay your bill right away, which we don't have to do here. So those are the big differences.
I can attest to that.
Right, there you go. So you get used to going to where there's a big C under the tower. You go into that, you park, you go into that building right away and pay your bill, and then you go on your merry way.
So they don't ask you for your credit card before you shoot the approach?
No, afterwards. Afterwards.
Well, I really want to hear more about your escapades, Caroline. It's really a treasure to meet you. Thank you for all that you do, universally. Quite certain that you've already made quite an impact on more than a few individuals.
And I hope to continue making that impact. I speak to schools all the time. I was just up at Buffalo speaking to 425 girls, called a Tech Savvy program. And, I hope to continue doing this.
Caroline Garrett, where can people reach you on the interweb?
The website is alsworldflight.com. And they can reach me.
alsworldflight.com.
Right, you can reach me through that.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time to come by.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'll personally get in touch with you later and we'll be talking more. Do you want to leave a business card behind when you leave?
I'll have to run back and get one.
Well, you can just write it down on there.
Okay.
Hey, Brad. Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Always glad to be part of you.
Launchpad, Mazzari. You're based out in Germany, right?
I am Roger, and I'm right now doing a tour of duty here in America. I'm currently in Texas for another 6 months to a year, but I always go back to my home in Stuttgart where I've been working there.
Well, it's a hoot. I will get you back on maybe later in the week. I want to hear about your vision of the difference between the U.S. airspace and European airspace.
Yep. I definitely want to be here for that one.
And so that will be wonderful. So, Carolyn, thank you again.
Thank you,
Truly
Howie.
appreciate it. I'll take the microphone, and you can scoot on away.
And let me say goodbye to your listeners, and I'll bring your next guest in.
Excellent. Go introduce him. Take the mic. No, he's right here.
All right, and I'm going to be replaced by
What's your name?
Trevor Semino.
Trevor Seminole.
Terry?
Trevor.
Trevor. And his mom, yes? Take the mic.
Hi, I'm Eileen.
Hi,
Semino.
Eileen. Simino. Nice to meet you both. This is Radek Vizikowski.
You got it right this time.
And
Took a little practice.
And Rad is the originator of the IMC Club, and I just want you to know that this organization is for people who have gotten their instrument or working on or studying their instrument rating, but now the organization has grown to include VFR pilots, so the VMC group. And you are doing something really unique. I want you to tell us how old you are. I want to tell us what grade you're in. I want to tell us what is it about aviation which is interesting, and how you're going to fund your aviation career. Mom will help you with those questions.
So my name is Trevor Semino, and I am in 8th grade. I live in DeLand, Florida, just north of Orlando. And I always loved going on trips, flying, and just I always thought it was really fun. But I never considered it as a career until I was 8 or 9. And
I'm laughing with you. By the ripe old age of 8, he finally decided to make it a career, ladies and yeah, go ahead.
And
I'd bonk you on the head with the microphone if you were closer.
and I started researching how to become a pilot, and I got.
How do you do that?
Well, basically, you go in flight training, and you take and then you solo. So you basically learn everything you need to know to solo, and then you start just expanding, take your private pilot exam, oral exam, written exam, and check ride, and then you're a private pilot.
Get your license to learn.
Exactly. Because it doesn't stop after you get your private pilot rating. There is still so much you can learn: instrument, multi-engine, commercial, all of these different things. And even once you have all those, you can always still learn something in aviation.
Wow, so you understand.
I think so.
That's a big deal. Well, you see, one of the things that's interesting that I think you have already gotten is the fact that you never stop learning.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing is, if it's not drudgery, if it's not troublesome, if it's not a bother, it's fun.
Oh,
and then if it's fun, is it work? No. It's not work if
no,
it's fun.
Not at all.
And this is the thing that I really do hope for you, that you continue with your enthusiasm. Now, I'm going to say it was kind of interesting. I happened to see somebody walking around in a really cool shirt yesterday. Turned out to be your mom. And I thought, wow, there's a chart. She's wearing a chart. And I didn't know anything about it. Then I saw a bag over there, and there was another shirt as a chart. And it turns out you have something to do with that.
I do, yes. That is my business, which I started 1 year ago.
At the ripe old age of?
11. I was 11 at the time. That must have killed the frequency vibrations.
Yeah, but that's a foam padded. That's awesome.
Bonk on the head. So,
whack-a-mole.
So
how cool is that?
Yes. So I started this business 1 year ago, and we basically create shirts, blankets, golf towels, phone cases, so many different products. And we create them with a sectional chart, an aeronautical chart that pilots use to navigate. It's not for navigational purposes, though, because you can't realize your chart's expired or your iPad dies.
Go down the shoulder blade, make a left at the navel.
Right. You can't do that. But we decided to do this.
I bent over and I lost Nantucket. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I have to
there you go. Wait, Kentucky? Wait, where is that? So I was planning a flight one day on my simulator, and my mom looked at the chart, and this is coming from someone who doesn't really know much about aviation. No offense. But she just thought it looked really cool, which it does, because there are all these different layers and everything, the vector airways, the airports, everything there is on an aeronautical chart. She just thought it looked really cool, so she asked me to print it out, and I did, and she drew a shirt around it, and that's how this whole thing got started. We did some research, and now we make these shirts.
You'll
Have
be
you done any
sorry.
flight training so far? Have you done any flying?
I have, yes, I
How
have.
much time do you have?
I have 14 hours.
Wow.
With a CFI.
I
and
would hope so.
yes, not solo. And 592 hours in a flight simulator at home.
So you normally we see kids glued to the electronic devices, and you're glued to them, but you're
Flight simulator.
studying.
Yes.
I could only wish that more kids would do something constructive, creative, and I mean it's that kind of dedication at this age is unique, not exclusive. There's a whole high school of kids over there just like you, by the way. So you're not unique in your enthusiasm, but I think having this creative idea. Now, Mom, you're an educator.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to put it about 2 inches from your lips so we can't hear you. It's already on.
Yes, I am. A
And
Montessori
a little
teacher.
closer. Where do you work?
I'm a Montessori teacher at Esformes Hebrew Academy.
Oh, that's awesome. And so when your boy came to you with this idea, what was the first thing you thought?
This is the big idea. This is the one that's going to get him to Riddle and put fuel in those planes.
Okay, but you'll have to put this a little closer, and that's okay. Actually, I think it probably will.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Do you have a website?
We do, yes. If you go to chartitall.com, www.chartitall.com, that is our company name. Or you can email us at chartitall@gmail.com, and we will customize your shirt or your blanket or your phone case or whatever you want. If you live in Missouri, for instance, and you want the Missouri airport or a specific airport in Missouri on your shirt, you just tell us where. We'll send you a proof. You'll make sure it makes sense. You like it, and then we'll send the final shirt, blanket, whatever it is you order. So you can customize it. You can add text for a little extra. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. If you have a logo, if you're a part of a club and you want to create a club shirt, you can do that with us. Just send us your logo, and we'll create your shirt.
Okay.
We got a customer right here.
Just gave him $20. That's a deposit.
Oh, thank
Roger
you.
that.
That's a deposit. The cool thing is you came up with the idea. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. To be creative, to be innovative, and for some reason you had somebody who backed your idea.
Yes. Could not have done it without her.
Good ideas, everybody has them. It's the ability to take it from concept to completion. I can tell you, I worked long and hard at a company that I had that did well enough, but it took a long time, a lot of money, and a lot of false starts. For you, at this age, to be able to get this far is phenomenal. And
Well,
the
thank
fact
you.
that you're so comfortable with it, you're very articulate. How many languages do you speak?
English
Oh,
and
Thank goodness, you're not too good to be true, which is wonderful. If you
and-
told me you
and-
spoke 12 languages.
and
And
somewhat
Braille, I'd be gonna
Spanish.
Oh.
Somewhat Spanish.
Oh, good. Then we'll talk to you somewhat in Spanish. May we? No. That's... Anyway,
I'm not fluent though, so don't
no, don't worry about it. Neither am I. Well, that's awesome. So where do you go to school?
I go to school at St. Barnabas in DeLand.
Oh, that's St. Barnabas.
So, yes.
That's all right. Do you have a flying club?
I am. Well, it isn't necessarily a flying club. I am part of Aviation Explorers Post 491,
Awesome.
also in DeLand.
Awesome.
And we have ground school. We meet first and third Fridays of the month, and we do a ground school. We just finished building a full motion flight simulator to use for flight training and to bring to Young Eagles
Jiggle
events.
stick?
I'm sorry?
Does it have the jiggle stick?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ah!
Yes. It's made out of PVC. It's
And do you
got
have
a
the
computer.
camera on your head? You turn
No, we don't have that.
Oh, you talk to my boy. Talk to my son. He'll fix you up.
That'd be great. So
Sam, I want you to get in touch with this kid. Sam, I want you to get in touch with this kid.
So we just finished building that simulator, and we're going to take it around to Young Eagles events to try to recruit members for our club and just to show kids how amazing the world of aviation is and how you can never get bored with it and just that it's an amazing opportunity, an amazing field. So many different things you can do. You know, it's not just limited to being a pilot. You know, you can do commercial aviation, executive, flight instructing, A&P, mechanics things. So that's what our goal is with the simulator.
That's a fantastic
He
goal.
knows more about flying than many of my students I flew with.
Oh, yeah, no choice about it. But for whatever reason, you were given the opportunity to get excited about something which you had the availability to listen. Flight simulators aren't that expensive. Video games are the norm. The technology is there for every child. Somehow, for some reason, something triggered you. Can you remember, was it going to an airfield, seeing something on TV or some computer game? What?
Or you were just born that way.
Well,
can you remember?
To be honest, if I'm going to be completely honest here,
No, I want you to make it up.
I don't necessarily feel this way now, but when I was 8 or younger than that, I always thought it was cool. I love the way that the pilots in the airport, you know, international airport, commercial aviation, I love their uniform and just what they got to do in the cockpit and everything in it, and just how, oh my gosh, look at that and that and that, and oh wow, look at all those switches above me. You know, I just found that really interesting, and I wanted to learn more about it. And everyone there also everyone was so nice, and you know, I could tell it was a great area of people, community of people.
That I'm getting this on tape. Not only are you verbally articulate, watching your expressions, your facial expressions, the depth in which you are engaged in sharing this. I'm going to tell you, I talk with a lot of kids, and it's like, yeah, can you go away? The sooner you go away, the better I'll feel. Are we done talking here? No, you're like really focused, and you're laser beam focused. That energy is brilliant. Well, that's great. You see, all of us have that starting point. All of us have that epiphany. All of us had that time when all of a sudden, for me, it was lying at the threshold of a grass airfield and watching an airplane swoop down and pick up a banner and pull the banner up over my head. It was so close I felt I could jump up and grab the banner. I was afraid if I did, I'd pull the airplane down. But I was 12 at the time, and I could never have jumped that high. But the point is, from that moment in time, I wanted to be the guy in that airplane. Then, last year, I was in Belmar, and I watched those guys do it. You know, the airplane has no seat. It's a little wire bucket. And the guys are wearing gym shorts. No shirt, no shoes, no nothing. They're just in these things. No doors. Paint? Well, that's what the airplane came with 40 years ago. There's no paint on it anymore. And they dive down, and they retard the throttle, and they swoop down, and then they full throttle at the apex, and the hook, they throw out the hook. The guy's got a hook in his hand. He's got one hand on the yoke, one hand on the hook.
Oh, my goodness.
Where's the throttle? And he gets out of the bottom. He wanks the thing out, hits the throttle. The hook and the line fall down, hooks onto a banner.
Oh, my goodness. That is amazing hand-eye coordination.
I wanted to do that. And now that I know how they do it, I don't want to do that.
I don't blame you. That's pretty good hand-eye coordination to do something like that.
Oh, dude. Also, you know, the guy... Also, I remember as a kid being on the Jersey Shore watching the banner planes, and then there were days when it was really windy, and they'd kind of be moving backwards. I never understood, how can a plane fly backwards? Because when you got, like, you know,
the
40
wind
up there, and they're dragging these things, they're hanging on the prop, these things is like, ooh, I don't know if that looks safe. Anyway, those of you on the Jersey Shore who remember the days of the blimps going by, you see banners. That's what happens from time to time. But it's been a real treat, and we're coming to the end of our allotted time, so I truly appreciate you being here.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
Trevor, really, I wish you continued success.
Thank
Use
you
that
very
money
much.
wisely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's the last you get out of me. Not true. I'll be buying you stuff. Elaine, really, phenomenal. Him, not you. No, really, to have the heart that you do, to support him in every way, is a blessing that I could only hope we can imbue that on other parents. And don't worry, you'll hate her in time. It comes, especially the wedding. Trust me, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy what they go through. But again, thank you all very much. I'm going to spend a minute with Radek, so you can put the mics down.
All right. Thank you so much, Howie.
And just listen to the rest of it. You're very welcome. So, Rad, what do you think? How did we do today?
Oh, we're doing great. We are doing great. I mean, first I want to say here, you're an amazing person. Let me shake your hand because it's a pleasure to meet you both here.
Well, it looks like we get to do it all over again tomorrow.
Yes.
And I've got quite a few people lined up. We've got George Bai from his electric airplane company out there in Colorado. Bob Tweedy from the city of Tavares, the seaplane capital of the United States. I was there last year. They've got a playground with a jungle gym that's an airplane, and the propeller spins around and water spins out of it, which I want from my airport. Steve Buss, of course, commemorative Air Force, he'll be by. Plus many, many more here on the EAA IMC radio. So on behalf of Radek Vizikoski, of course, John Roberts.
Roberts will be here tomorrow.
He'll be joining us tomorrow from the golden microphones of the EAA IMC network. This is Howie Marlin. We'll see you guys tomorrow for day 3 of Sun and Fun 2016.
Welcome to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plane Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or IMC Club International.